The next step is to open a bank account. Now, this is something I learned from my co-founder Shashank, which is that never open one bank account. If you open one bank account, then you only have one option. His suggestion is to open two bank accounts. In our case, in Avalon, India, we have HDFC Bank as one provider and Axis Bank as another provider. This allows us to make better deals with the bank, get better exchange rates, and a bunch of other things. Remember that all banks in the world, all corporate bank accounts in the world, will require you to have a minimum balance. So some of the capital, remember that 10 to 20 lakhs that we spoke about? Some of that capital is going to stay in reserve. Usually what we do at Avalon is we keep one bank account for local payments and another bank account for international payments where we negotiate on the exchange rate. The next thing you'll probably do is to transfer the rest of the marked up capital into your bank account. Reserve 5 lakhs out of that, open something called a fixed deposit and ask for a credit card. Right? This is the usual process. You keep 5 lakhs in reserve, and this is so that the bank knows that you'll be able to pay in case you default, and then apply for a credit card. You will need a credit card to make a lot of international transactions for some of the tools that we're going to use in the future. We'll be appointing our official bank account later in something called the board minutes. In this process, you should also be looking for a CA. And just in case you don't find one, I put my own CA's email down there, but you should look for a CA that you're comfortable working with, that you are close to, and who will pick up your call whenever you call them. It is extremely important for you to work in close association with your CA. So try not to work with a CA that has too many clients. Try to work with a smaller one that is more hungry for success. Post this, you will be holding your first board meeting. Now, a lot of people think a board meeting, is a room where everybody sits together and everybody decides what happens in the company. It is that, but in real life with smaller companies, a board meeting is just done over paper, which is a couple of people decide and agree that, a board meeting was held on this date and these are the items passed. Your first board meeting is probably going to be something like that, where you and your co-founder just sit together and decide, okay, these are 2 or 3 things that we're going to do. In this meeting, you're going to assign your auditor, you're going to open a bank account, or you're going to mention that you opened a bank account and it is the official bank account for your company. And thirdly, you're going to mention an official registered office address. My suggestion would be to use your local home address as your first office address. As long as your home is not on rent, you will be able to mention that it is an office. If you don't own a home, you can look out for virtual office providers who will give you kind of an office address that you can use in all your correspondences with the ROC. In my case, my own house in Bangalore was used as the office address for all of my companies in their early days. Your CA will then issue share certificates to all the promoters of your company, the people who purchased those shares. Now, within 180 days of your company's launch in India, there's a new concept called a proof of commencement, which you will need to file with the ROC. Now that you've performed all the basics, you will be applying for a payment gateway. Now, you can either ask your bank for a payment gateway, or you can work with payment gateway providers like Razorpay, CitrusPay, CC Avenue, and a bunch of others. Most of the non-banking payment gateways will require you to have some sort of website presence and some sort of description of what your company or your website does. Because we will be selling online in the future, we will need to have a website before we apply for a payment gateway.